Hey, Tommy, I've got an eye-watering number, 8.8%. You know what that is?
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. The latest IC car study found that today's average new car price is 8.8% above MSRP.
And in this video, we're going to go deep into that study, and we're going to tell you the top 10 cars in America that are selling over MSRP.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, let's give you some numbers.
Yeah, so the 10 most expensive new models are between 20 and 27% over MSRP, which is just crazy. So we're still seeing some pretty eye-watering numbers. If you are in the market for a new car, it's clearly still a very challenging time. Now, IC Cars analyzed over 12 million new car sales between February of 2022 and February of 2023 to identify today's dealer pricing compared to MSRP, the trends, and the top 10 cars priced above. So should we go right into the list?
Yeah, what is interesting about this list, Tommy, is that I thought by now, because of supply chain issues getting resolved, because of interest rates going up, we'd be seeing cars that are selling for MSRP or less. But with these top 10 cars, there are between, like you said, 20 and 27% over MSRP. So,
well, you say that, but the gap is narrowing, right? So the high gap was something like 10%. Last year, 10.2%. We're down to a low of 8.8%, but that is still pretty substantially over MSRP when you consider that the national average, $41,637. That's the average MSRP, but the average price, $45,296.
So these must be, I would say, the most popular cars in the land because they're selling for the most over MSRP. So what's number 10?
Yeah, number 10 is the Lexus RX Hybrid. So this is one of, if not the most popular Lexus, right?
Yeah, about at least over 50% of Lexus's car sales account for the RX. Since the study was done between 2022 and 2023, we're not even talking about the new model that's coming out right now. We're talking about the outgoing model, which is pretty staggering.
Now, the average MSRP, $49,339. The average price, though, $59,347. That's a difference of 20.3%.
Yeah, so how do you think this works and shakes out at the dealership? Do you think that the dealers are just getting so much demand that they're asking a lot over sticker, and if you don't want the price, you are told to go basically pound sand, you either buy it or you don't?
I still think that there are shortages at dealers, right? There's a lot of demand still according to what we're seeing on this list, right? And maybe supply still hasn't caught up. There is a notable vehicle, and we'll talk about this at the end, that's selling under MSRP, but let's keep going with the list.
That's the one I want to buy.
Number 9, the Cadillac CT5, average MSRP $41,870, average price $50,383.
I think that may be because, a lot of Cadillacs are kind of now the last of the gasoline power generation. So people are maybe buying these because they want the gasoline powered one before we roll out all the electric Cadillacs, even though there is an electric car on this list, which is interesting.
Now, next up on the list, we have the Porsche Macan. Average MSRP $61,589. Average price $74,275. That's a difference of 20.6%. Now, the Macan is interesting, right? Porsche is definitely having its time in the sun. Pretty much every model in their lineup is seeing a lot of buzz, a lot of attention from not only the media, but people buying cars. The Macan, definitely one of the best small performance luxury crossovers out there. But that's, we're talking a $13,000 difference between the price and the MSRP.
The last time I was on a Porsche dealership website, there were no 911s, there were a lot of Macans, and there were a lot of Cayennes, and there were a lot of Taycans. So maybe part of this has to do with the fact that there are not a lot of Porsches out there to choose from right now. So for some reason, I think Porsche understands that this is kind of the sweet spot in their small crossover segment. So you can get them, and people are getting them and paying a lot over sticker.
Well, what we're also finding is that there are 3 manufacturers that have 2 individual models on the top 10 list. So Porsche is one of them. And the next one is also another manufacturer that has a couple cars on this list. Genesis with the GV80, the average MSRP $56,388, but the average price $68,240. That is a 21% difference.
Yeah, you combine a car that is just red hot in terms of styling with a dealership network that is just being built out, and they're probably hard to get. So if you have, only a handful of dealers and you have a lot of demand, you're probably going to get a car that's going to sell over sticker.
Yep. Cadillac CT4V comes in at number 6. Average MSRP $57,737. Average price $69,904.
Yeah, it's got that magic V at the end of it, which means it's, the sporty and high-powered version of the CT4. Once again, Cadillac seems to have hit its stride finally after years of trying to figure out kind of where it belongs in the ecosystem of cars. These, new and last gasoline-powered Cadillacs are doing really well.
Why do you keep bringing gasoline into it? Because one of the cars on the list is fully electric.
Well, because only one of the cars on the list is fully electric.
That's true.
Only one.
That's a good point. Now, the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited, the four-door Wrangler, right, makes an appearance on the list here in position number 5. $45,386 is the average MSRP. The average price, $10,000 more at $55,347. So Wranglers, what's interesting is we're not seeing the Bronco on this list, and I'm kind of curious why. Maybe it's too new. I'm not really sure what the data pool here that they're pulling from is, but that's a pretty big jump over MSRP. We're talking 21.9% over.
Yeah, Wranglers have been the it vehicle for the last 2 years, selling over every year now 200,000 units a year, which is just incredible for a vehicle that is about as pure as you can get off-roader. And yet people love the attitude, they love the styling, they love the fact that it's like American military, and it just keeps going from strength to strength. And that's why it's here on this list. And, well, I'll leave it till number 2.
Yeah, so number 4, the Porsche Taycan, the fully electric Porsche. Average MSRP just a tick over $100,000. The average price, though, $122,940. That's a 22.7% difference. Now, we are seeing the Taycan on the list. We are seeing the Macan. We're not seeing the 911.
Can't get them.
Yeah, maybe it's just because they're completely unobtainium. We're also not seeing the Taycan, which is a rather old vehicle. So interesting that those are the 2 Porsches we see. And we also see one Mercedes on this list at number 3. The Mercedes-Benz GLB, average MSRP, $41,061. Average price, $50,452. That's a 22.9% difference. GLB is actually one of my favorite cars in the Mercedes lineup. I like it that much. It's like a little baby G-Wagon. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they got the design right, at least the previous generation. The new one is a little bit more rounded, but the previous one was squared off. It was very tall. You could actually get it in a 3-row, which was hilarious. The only thing that I didn't like about that car is it had a dual clutch, and I didn't think that was grand. But otherwise, that whole segment where it's just a little bit below, the mid-size crossover, those small crossovers are doing really well. And Mercedes brings a lot of utility and a lot of kind of interesting flair with that one. You can also get the electric one, which they basically electrified the regular GLB.
Number 2, the Jeep Wrangler, but the 2-door model. Average MSRP almost $36,000. Average price though $44,000. Why do you think that the 2-door model is selling for more in terms of the percentage difference than the Unlimited model?
Because I think that's the one that's more of a toy.
Yeah, okay.
So the Unlimited, the 4-door, is more of the utility that you can actually buy. But this is the one that people are getting as their 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 10th car, right? They're a fun car, and I think you're more likely to spend more money on something that you want and really want, as opposed to something that you just need.
And the number 1 vehicle on this list, the Genesis GV70, arguably one of the best new cars you can buy. It really is deserving of, well, okay, I don't want to say it's deserving of the additional price that it's taking, but it is deserving of your look because it's such a great car. But the average MSRP, $44,000 and some change, but the average price, $56,476. The price MSRP percentage difference, a whopping 27.5%.
Yeah, I'd be careful of that one because I don't know if they've built that many yet. So it could be a question of supply and demand. So if there's a lot of demand for small supply, you're going to get much higher prices.
It has been out for some time though.
Yeah.
It's not brand new to the market.
Right, but I don't know if they've built with the Wrangler, they've built hundreds of thousands. Same thing could be said for some of these other cars like the Lexus RX. But with this one, I don't know how many have been built. And maybe there's, it's like a Ferrari, right? A Ferrari might be selling, 100,000 or 200,000 over MSRP just because it's so limited that you can't get it.
But I'm thinking GV70s out there in higher quantities.
You could be right. I don't know. They don't break it down, so we're just guessing here.
Now, let's talk about some of the big trends here.
Yep.
Apart from 2 vehicles, the Jeeps, every model on this top 10 list is a premium brand. Lexus, Cadillac, Porsche, Genesis, Mercedes.
You can argue the Jeep is not a premium brand.
Well, I'm not sure I'd call a Wrangler at $35,000 a premium experience.
How about a Grand Wagoneer at $120,000?
Didn't make the list.
I know, but I'm saying it competes with a Range Rover.
But it's interesting that we are seeing a lot of luxury vehicles on this list. So I think that is pretty revealing that folks are still definitely want that luxury brand. They want that luxury experience. Now, I do want to talk about some of the key highlights here, right? Asking prices and MSRPs both remain near record highs at 41,637 and 45,296 respectively.
Oh, you're depressing me, Tommy. This is so depressing.
What about the other end? The lowest price car relative to MSRP, or in this case, it's actually a truck.
Yeah, it's not even a car, is it?
The Chevrolet Silverado 1500 is the number one lowest priced vehicle relative to MSRP, coming in at 1.9% below MSRP.
Yeah, I'm starting to see those commercials where the manufacturers, and this is specific to trucks, are actually offering cash on the hood, or offering lower interest rates, or offering long-term loans, or offering good lease deals with trucks. I think the truck segment is the first that's going to kind of come back because that's where the bread is buttered for a lot of these manufacturers, right? Let's face it, Ford and Chevy are really truck companies now more than car companies.
And didn't I just read that Chevrolet very recently idled production on the Silverado?
They did, yeah.
Due to high volumes at dealers?
Yeah, they didn't want a lot of Silverados sitting around at the dealership. At least that's what they said. Who knows?
Yeah, so interesting.
Supply, you don't know.
Interesting that's the number one lowest priced vehicle that I see Cars has found, and it's also the one that's being idled in terms of production. But let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that, if we have this video again a year from now, that we'll be back to having it be a buyer's market. Like I say, it's just very depressing to see these vehicles selling so much above what the manufacturer is asking for. That's just a lot of profit. And I think it also probably in some instances hurts the manufacturers because they're leaving a lot of money on the table that is going to dealers, right? And let's face it, a lot of you guys out there and a lot of us back here, have questions about practices the dealers use to get these high prices.
Yep, I agree completely.
Another video.
All right, we'll see you in the next one.
Ciao.